I am Cheap Nicholas Blair, at your service again. I am the Sultan of Sale Price Sorcery. And tonight I am tasked with introducing episode number 4 of Collinsport After Dark. I'm not quite sure what the subject matter is, though. I was tasked with trying to figure that out, too. Perhaps I should take a look at my book of spells. Let's see what we have in here that might interest you all. What's this? Adam has definitely been poking around my library again. This won't do it all. Wait a minute. Here's an idea. 1897, anyone? How about something in the color of green? The 1969 green gum cards from Philadelphia Chewing Gum Corporation. Roll the intro. Welcome to Collinsport After Dark. This is a Dark Shadows podcast with your host, Alan Gallant, and of course the whole host of things that go bump in the night. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the latest episode of Collinsport After Dark.
This is an ABC color presentation.
Welcome back, friends, family, lovers, enemies, whoever happens to be here. Glad you could make it. We're right back here in the Christopher Jennings Memorial Hotel room at the Collinsport Inn. And, well, green is the color, not necessarily my true love's eyes. Could be the color of my true love's skin if she's not feeling well, but never mind about that. Anyway, today, welcome to episode 4 of Collinsport After Dark. And today's episode is going to feature the 1969 Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company gum cards. These cards, of course, follow the 1897 storyline, and they basically cover the earlier part of it. Some of the pictures were shot right on the set, probably during, I would say, probably a rehearsal, and some of the shots were production shots provided by Dan Curtis Productions. So, today, we're going to do a deep dive into this, show a few scenes from some of the episodes in which the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company photographer was present and took shots, and I thought that would be kind of a fun thing. But the first thing I want to do is go back to episode 3 and our discussion and display of the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club materials. And I wanted to show you this little picture that I couldn't find before, and I found it now. And basically, it's this. Here we see Jonathan Frid signing autographs outside of the Studio 16 at 433 West 53rd Street, probably in 1969, as the Dark Shadows Fan Club materials were all fully issued by that time. And if you notice in his hand, you're seeing a ghoul pad that he's using. This is further evidence that the Dark Shadows Vampire Fan Club materials, particularly the ghoul pad, were available at the studio. Probably sent them a bunch of these ghoul pads so they could use them for generalized note-taking and, of course, handing out autographs from the stars. So I thought that was kind of fun. Also, we got something else here for you. And this item is a just for fun item. It's from the early summer of 1968. Notice at the top of it, it's advertising a sort of a meet and greet that Jonathan Frid is going to be at Stern Brothers in New York. And it's going to be at the Shoe Place at Stern Brothers. And it's a big to-do, but by June 22nd, 1968, the date of this public appearance, of course, the character of Barnabas Collins is become incredibly popular. And it's going to be at the Special Events Center on the 6th floor at 2:30 p.m. So all the kids can be there. Hopefully it's on a Saturday, so they should be able to. And Stern Brothers at this point, 41 West 42nd Street in New York, where its main store would be until they closed a number of years later. So I hope that you enjoyed that little foray off to the side here. Now let's get back to the actual green 1969 gum card set featuring the early 1897 storyline. So first of all, we're just going to kind of do a roll through of all of the cards and accoutrements of that with a little music in the background, and then we'll go into a deeper dive. So, Mr. Music, we're ready, please. second series of Dark Shadows cards, as their wrapper proclaimed, was issued in the summer of 1969, capitalizing on the tremendous popularity of the then-current 1897 storyline and the newest Dark Shadows star, David Selby, as Quentin Collins. The 66 cards in the series cover the earlier period of 1897, once again composed of black and white publicity stills, generally taken during the dress rehearsals on the set. The cards had a wavy green border which was probably intended to resemble a picture frame. There were no autograph facsimiles on the individual cards of the set, but there were small pink dialogue boxes which were usually directly above the bottom green border over the still itself. In a few cases, the box would find its way to the top or center of the photo. Each of these had a simple sentence in black lettering explaining the scene on the card. The sentences were presented as attributed character quotes. The story was somewhat stilted when put together, but any young fan of the show could tell exactly what was happening. On the bottom section of the wavy green border from left to right appeared the assigned card number and 1969 Dan Curtis Productions Incorporated, PCGC, all rights reserved, printed in USA, as seen on Series 1. The backs of the 66 cards of the set formed 4 different black and white pinup photos, each with a green facsimile autograph in the lower right corner, a la the Pink series. These were Barnabas, the foyer painting, Angelique, as seen on Pink card 38, Quentin Collins, as seen on Green card 43, and Chris Jennings, as a werewolf, as seen on Green card 66. The packaging reflected the style of the cards, with a wrapper depicting Collinwood on the lower edge of its center panel, a sepia photo set in a green background, and a pink strip in the upper left-hand corner proclaiming second series in white letters. A white version of the series logo dominated the upper center of the front of the gum pack. Beneath these words were the smaller plain black words wallet photos and bubble gum. In the lower right corner, 5 cents was announced in white. The white borders of the wrapper contained at least 2 different ads, these appearing to the right of the center panel. These were ads for Swell Bubblegum, favorite of champions, and the famous Barnabas ring ad, complete with drawings of the ring and the vampire. These wrappers held 5 random cards and a single stick of bubblegum. The Barnabas ring was a tie-in promotion with the cards that became one of the rarest and sought-after Dark Shadows collectibles. For 50 cents and 5 gum wrappers, fans could obtain a cheap replica of the ring Barnabas wore on the show by mail order from Timco Industries. Because so few survived, they have recently commanded prices of over $1,000 from collectors. In the 1990s, MPI Home Video produced a licensed replica of the ring. And now the cards. The second series focuses on plotline rather than the character portraits of the first series. The bulk of the cards feature the 1897 storyline involving Quentin as a zombie. This story begins with episode 722, aired on April 1st, 1969, taped on March 25th, 1969, when Quentin is reanimated, and concluding with the arrival of Gregory Trask and his curing of both Quentin and the possessed Jameson in episode 726, aired on April 7th, 1969, and taped on March 31st, 1969. Cards 7 through 48 deal with this story. Interestingly, Trask wears glasses in the shots on the cards. By tape time, the decision had been made not to use the spectacles for Reverend Trask. The same frames, however, had appeared earlier as the Eagle Hill Cemetery caretakers in 1967. And here's a clip.
Good evening.
What was that?
It was I. I said good evening.
Who are you?
My name is Barnabas Collins. Are you the caretaker of the cemetery?
Here at Eagle Hill, there is very little to take care of anymore. No one has been laid to rest here for a great many years.
Then you have nothing to do with the place.
I have maintained the archives of this graveyard for 35 years. Who did you say you are?
Barnabas Collins.
Are you a ghost?
A ghost?
Yes. Barnabas Collins is dead. He died in England over 100 years ago.
I'm his descendant, and I assure you that I'm quite alive. Now, I'd like to ask you some questions.
You don't look any different. You look just like the gentleman in the portrait.
Please, old man, I have some urgent business, and I want your cooperation. I'm looking for a little boy who's lost.
Yes, the ring on your finger is the same, too. And the cane.
Would you please listen to me?
Why are you getting so disturbed?
I told you I want some answers from you.
What answers?
About the little boy everyone's looking for.
Oh, he hasn't been found yet.
No, he's been lost for almost 2 days now. And I'm trying to find him. I was hoping you might give me some help.
Well, somebody was looking for him this afternoon. Mr. Roger Collins and a young gentleman.
Yes, I know. I want to know what you told them.
Well, I told them that if the boy had come through the cemetery, I would have seen him.
But you also told them something else. You said that you had heard voices coming from inside the Collins mausoleum.
If you already knew that, why did you ask?
Did you hear voices or didn't you?
Why do you want to know?
Did you hear voices or didn't you?
I did. But it wasn't the boy that I heard.
How do you know?
Because the boy is alive. What I heard this afternoon was the voice of someone dead.
The first 6 cards depict Barnabas with dialogue such as, "I must go back to the past to save the boy's life," and "Why is the ghost possessing Jameson?" beginning the main story. Card 1 is one of the Bat Against the Red Moon series taken in 1967. Cards 2 through 4 appear to be taken during rehearsal for episode 725, taped March 28, 1969, and aired April 4th, 1969. A color version of card 5 can be found on the back cover of Barnabas Collins, a personal picture album, with Jonathan Frid's autograph, taken on the stairway in the old house. This picture was taken during the taping of episode 522, taped on June 16, 1968, and aired on June 26, 1968.
It's going over to Professor Stokes. I won't be long. There's no need for you to walk around with that gun in your hand.
I don't like being in this house by myself.
You heard me.
Especially with Adam on the loose.
Adam won't come back here.
Oh, you say that, but I don't believe it. Anytime he gets in trouble, he comes back in this house. Well, this time I'm going to be ready for him.
Coming, Julia. And if he does come back here, you're to do nothing.
Well, you can't stop me from protecting myself. You can't do that.
Whatever happens to Adam, we are not to get involved. Now remember that. And put that gun away.
Interestingly, the publicity still on this card 6 is the only series shot not done on the set during dress rehearsals. This is a location shot of Barnabas inside of Trinity Church in New York, standing on a staircase with a heavy coat and large book in his right hand. Another picture from this shoot can be seen on the cover of MPI Home Video's The Best of Barnabas video, and this features one of the local graveyards that surround Trinity Church. This was likely taken in winter in early '69 as part of a promo series for the upcoming 1897 time travel. He is in modern dress, as in cards 1 and 5. This color shot, which features Jonathan Frid standing in front of one of the sets of doors on Trinity Church in New York City, is also featured on the DVD cover of Dark Shadows and Beyond, the Jonathan Frid story. Cards 7 through 48 were all shot during dress rehearsal for episode 725, with the exception of card 14, which was taken during episode 719. Let's begin with cards 7 through 9. On these cards, we see Judith horrified at the news that Quentin has become a zombie. On cards 10 through 13, we see Barnabas dealing with the zombified Quentin and trying to get him back to Collinwood, where hopefully something can be done about his current condition. Card 14 features Judith from episode 719 where she is trying to solve the problem of Jenny. In cards 15 through 22, we return once again to episode 725 and the problem of the zombified Quentin. We see Judith and Barnabas angst-ridden, and then finally the introduction of Reverend Gregory Trask.
Movement come to the limbs. Let your voice come from your mouth. Let your own eyes see again. Quentin, please. Jameson!
I told you not to call me Jameson anymore.
You mustn't believe everything he says. He has an overactive imagination.
Imagination, properly channeled, often leads to genius.
He can't come in here.
Must.
No, he can't. We have a visitor. Someone Edward sent.
Judith, it has changed. There is a small pulse beat. There wasn't before. He must be near Jameson. It is our only hope.
Jameson is with a visitor.
Are you willing to let him die again?
Can't bear to look at him. Can he hear us?
I don't know.
What am I going to do? If he'll come downstairs, you'll see him. This must not be known.
Judith, I have learned that nothing could be known for sure.
This must be kept a secret. It must. Do you understand?
Judith, it is not Quentin's fault. You sound as if it were.
Well, whose fault is it? It certainly isn't mine. I know he does things. Secret things. I've seen books in his room. Terrible.
This has been a most interesting chat, young man.
They're coming. Be quiet.
He's in this house. I know. I can feel his body waiting.
Jameson, don't talk like that.
I've always talked like that, dear sister. Or have you forgotten?
Well, Miss Collins.
I don't know what he's told you, but he's making it up. He's doing it deliberately so you won't accept him at your school. Look at him smiling. He knows he's wrong.
No, Miss Collins, he does not know. And for one very good reason. The boy is possessed. Where is this uncle he thinks he is? Where, Miss Collins? Why won't you let me help you? Why do you look upon me as a stranger when all I want to do is to give you the peace I know? Tell me this tragic story. Grief is to be shared.
He's with Barnabas. Quentin's in there.
Trask. Do we know each other, sir? How do you know my name?
I must have mentioned Barnabas. We must tell the Reverend everything. Maybe he can help us. He must.
Cards 21 through 29 continue to explore events leading up to the so-called exorcism of Jameson and Quentin by the Reverend Trask. These cards overlap and sometimes are out of sequence in terms of the real events of the actual show.
I want you to kneel. Kneel! This poor lost lamb beseeches your help. A small, frail body possessed by a giant evil force, leaving the cold, dead body of what once was a man. Have mercy! Have mercy! The devil has been in these rooms, and he has inhabited the bodies of these two and looked with favor upon them. The devil must be vanquished and driven from them before he can be driven from this house. He has taken refuge in their bodies and is using them against their wills.
Cards 30 through 35 return us again to the strange and terrifying world of the cemetery, where Jameson is drawn to encounter the spirit and body of Quentin. Barnabas also plays witness here. Card 36 is the obligatory shot of Barnabas's portrait, which is also featured in the first Gum Card series from Philly Gum. Cards 37 through 41 return us again to the attempted exorcism of Quentin. Cards 42 through 48 return us to the cemetery where Quentin is attempting in his zombified form to return to his grave. This is actually an out-of-order sequence to what we saw previously with Jameson and Barnabas arriving at the cemetery. Now let's see the scene in its entirety in the correct order. This again from episode 725.
Get up! Get up! You get up now. Don't let her do this to you.
Who, Jameson?
What did you call me?
Jameson.
Jameson's a child, Barnabas. You know that.
Take his hand, Quentin. His hand in yours.
So cold.
His hand will grow warmer.
When? When will it grow warm?
Concentrate. Think of how much Quentin wants to live. Think of how much he wants revenge on whoever did this to him.
I hate her. I've always hated her.
You must use every bit of willpower you have to bring him back to life.
Cards 49 and 50 show the beginnings of conflict between Quentin, his sister Judith, and Magda, who looks on. On cards 51 and 52, Judith confidentially asks Dirk to help her with the problem of Jenny. The following clip takes place during episode 719, which aired March 27th, 1969, and was taped on March 20th, 1969.
Dirk? Where are you going?
Getting ready to start my rounds.
How much do we pay you?
Well, you ought to know. You're the one who pays me now.
Do you want to get more?
Depends on what I have to do.
Well, you'd have to be very quiet. You couldn't tell anyone in this house what you do.
Another little Collins secret.
That's impertinent.
Look, you're asking me if I can keep my mouth shut, and I'm telling you I am. And I can. Now, let's get something straight. I don't care what you do or what this family does. As long as I get my pay, understand? In any way that I can earn more, you just tell me how. Come on.
Come with me.
And card 53 returns us to the conflict between Quentin, Judith, and Magda. We are now in Quentin's room. This scene also takes place during episode 719.
Must you play that again?
I like it.
I've heard it before.
It's soothing to me while you tell me all about my future tragedies.
You have no future, Quentin. I have been telling you that.
Stop playing that music.
Go away, pretty sister. You're disturbing us.
Did you hear me?
Indeed. Practically anyone in the house could.
Then do as I say.
Why? For what reason?
Because it's driving me mad.
Perhaps that's why I play it. Judith!
Bad enough seeing you sitting here with that woman, listening to her.
You always advised me to be more concerned with my future, huh? Get out of this room.
This is my house.
A fact you've pointed out with ever-increasing frequency.
A fact you seem to forget.
Would that I could! This may be your house, Judith, but it was also in Grandmother's will that I had a home here for the rest of my life. And the word home implies a certain freedom. Not just a bed, but a place to bring one's friends. Friends, Judith. And a place to meditate on the soon-to-be-here tomorrows.
Stop playing that gramophone and get that woman out of here.
In cards 54 and 55, we see Magda playing soothsayer to Quentin, who wants to know who's trying to kill him.
Are silent.
You're going to look into the crystal ball for me, Magda?
No.
Yes. You're going to do it now. Now, what do you see?
The moon. The full moon.
What does that mean? Does that mean when it's going to happen?
Yes.
How long do I have? When is there going to be a full moon? Are you going to drive me to the Farmer's Almanac? When is the next full moon?
You have 2 days.
Well, I shall make the most of them. Tell me, who's going to try and do this? Look into the ball, Magda.
She was once very beautiful.
Don't tell me that. That's no help.
I cannot see.
Yes?
The name.
The name? Yes, tell me the name.
It is almost clear there is a letter.
Well, what is it?
The woman who will kill you. Her name begins with J.
In card number 56, we see Quentin manhandling Magda to try to find out who is going to kill him. We'll come back to that in a minute. In card number 57, we see Magda reading Quentin's palm with the gramophone in the background, making this a classic shot.
Going to kill me? Really, Magda? Of course a woman is going to kill me. I wouldn't have it any other way. What color hair does she have? Can you tell me that?
What do you think of when you play that music?
Myself?
No one else?
I'm afraid, Magda, that I've lost all interest for anyone else. You shouldn't have to ask me that. Isn't that in my poem? I read somewhere where every person has a theme of music. Well, this is mine. When I'm alone, depressed, I can play this, and suddenly I'm not in this room or this house. I'm free somewhere exciting.
Shall I tell you where you are?
Why not, Magda? Tell me where I am.
Card 58 is directly connected to card 56, in which Quentin manhandles Magda. In this scene, he finds out that giving her money works much better.
Tell you, you're an animal. No, you're not. You're a child grabbing, hurting. You always want to hurt, to get your own way, when the easier way would be by smiling.
There. Is that smile enough for you? Now, my God, if you know how I'm going to die, you've got to tell me.
Aye, so you can run away from it, hide the knives.
A knife? Is that it? Is it?
Yes.
Now tell me who's going to try and kill me.
I have told you all that I see.
Yes, but you can see more.
If I choose, I can.
Shall I smile again, Magda? This is much nicer than a smile, though, isn't it? Huh?
I can see much more clearly now.
You're a fraud. I don't know why I ever believe you.
Because you know that there are two worlds. One world in which we live, and the other which is planned, in which death can be preordained.
And be avoided.
Yes.
What do you see? What do you see?
The knife. The person holding the knife is a woman.
In cards 59 and 60, Judith and Dirk have secreted Jenny away in a basement room of Collinwood.
What am I doing? What? Oh, that wasn't me dancing. No, that wasn't me. It was her, the other one. No, I wouldn't dance to that music. No, believe me. That wasn't me dancing. No.
So now you see why you can't tell anyone.
Beth knows.
We need someone to handle Miss Jenny with force if necessary. Mr. Quentin mustn't know she's here.
Beth knows everything.
Why are you so concerned about that?
Well, I thought I knew everything about it, that's all.
No, come in here. No, I don't want to see you. No, I don't want to go back up there and play your music.
Jenny, it's Judith.
No. Is he with you? Is he?
Of course not.
Somebody else! No! No, let me go! Let me go! I will not! I won't! You got it!
Now, Jenny!
She must never leave this room again. You must see that she doesn't.
On cards 61 and 62, we end our foray into episode 719 with the escape of Jenny Collins from her basement prison cell. Now she is free to maraud the halls of Collinwood.
Here, have a nice cup of coffee for you. That smells good. You're gonna love this. Well, now, that wasn't a very nice girl. A little coffee all over the floor, and I've got to clean it up. Get wet.
Suddenly, we are whisked away from the gaslight of 1897 to the year 1969. Cards 63 through 66 are from this era, depicting the werewolf. Card 64 in particular shows the werewolf as portrayed by a semi-made-up Alex Stevens and Carolyn in Elizabeth's Mausoleum during dress rehearsal for episode 672, which aired on January 20th and taped on January 13th, 1969.
She's in danger. I've got to help her.
Please, someone! Help me! Help me!
The bells. If only I could manage to make them ring. If only I could manage to press the button.
No! Please! Please!
One finger. I must move one finger to the button. I must make the bells ring. I must reach the button. I must.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
Card 64 is one of the unique cards in the series, betraying the manner in which the stills were procured. Several of the stars have discussed the introduction of a photographer into the rehearsal process with some resentment. In an interview which appeared in Craig Hamrick's Dark Shadows Collector's Guide, Catherine Lee Scott explained, "We would actually come in on set with our hair in curlers or an old bathrobe on, apparently in rebellion against having no say in the merchandising or photo selection. In 64, we see Carolyn screaming in terror as Alex Stevens, as the werewolf, half-heartedly stares off toward the camera with no hand makeup." On cards 32, 33, 43, 46, and 48, Quentin is missing his mutton chops. One can only imagine the more obvious examples of unusual stills, bathrobes and all. Actually, one only has to go to the Imagine 1993 card set to see what this would have been like. Card 54 of that series shows Catherine Lee Scott and Dawn Briscoe in a scene depicting Rachel Drummond's mortal wounding in episode 776, aired June 16, 1969, taped on June 9, 1969. In this still, Scott is indeed in bathrobe and curlers. According to Jeff and Bob Marks in their article about the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Corporation, in The Wrapper, the folks at Swell Gum sent a photographer over to take shots for the card series, augmented with existing stills from Dan Curtis Productions. For the second series, it seemed the photographer recorded 2 different taping dates: Thursday, March 20th, 1969 for episode 719, and Friday, March 28th, 1969 for episode 725. 59 of the cards bear images from these 2 production dates, 44 from 725 and 15 from 719. Interestingly, several characters key to the early storyline depicted on these cards, along with the actors who appeared during the episodes the photos were taken in, were absent from the card set. Angelique, who caused Quentin to become a zombie, was not included. Her puzzle back picture was taken from a 1795 photo shoot. Rachel Drummond is nowhere to be seen. The simpering Carl Collins, who is there when the dead Quentin is reanimated as a zombie, is absent. Sandor, with his rescue of Rachel from the undead Quentin, would have lent some more action to the story. But all things considered, including some flawed captions and blurry touch-ups, the second series is a fun and interesting glimpse of the early goings-on at 1897 Collinwood. Well, dearies, I hope you enjoyed a little foray into 1969 and the green series of Dark Shadows gum cards brought to you by the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Corporation. Now, this being 1969, this was a big year for Philly Gum. Now, after these cards here that we just talked about were put out, probably summertime, by the late fall, 2 other series had been put out by Philly Gum, all about Dark Shadows. First of all, there was a set of 16 big posters called the Dark Shadows Giant Pinups. And these 16 posters included most, not all, but most of your favorite characters from the 1897 period. They were about 19 by 9 inches in terms of their size, had a beautiful little border across them, and black and white photographs with little autographs at the bottom of them, probably done by somebody in the offices at Philly Gum rather than the actual actors. You know how that goes. But not only did that come out, but around the same time, a series of 12 postcards featuring our own Quentin Collins also came out. And those didn't have no gum in them at all. They just sold the postcards. And you know why? They didn't want to muck up those full color shots because that's right, everything else has been in black and white except for the borders, which were lovely greens and pinks. But the Quentin postcards were in full color. Now, you can well imagine that at some point in the near future, I intend to show you these and talk a little bit about the origins of the photographs and so on. So I hope that you'll join me when that happens. Not quite sure when yet. I might throw a few other things in between. But I guess this is goodbye, and we'll see you next time. This has been episode 4 of Collinsport After Dark, coming to you live right here at the Chris Jennings Memorial Hotel Room at the Collinsport Inn in Collinsport, Maine. Now, will you hold it down up there? That's why they call it the Chris Jennings Memorial Hotel Room at the Collinsport Inn. Weird things going on here, folks, but I shall endeavor to persevere, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.